they tried rotating through a few guys. They don't really seem to be want to rush any prospects up anytime soon. So they went back to Blake Wheeler. And things have been looking a lot better since then. He's gotten a lot more comfortable. I think comfortable is the big theme for Blake Wheeler in my mind. He's 37. This is his first time, his first year with the Rangers, and obviously a lot of experience around the league. And sometimes it just takes a player, an adjustment period. And that was one of the things that I actually brought up to Brian Boyle on the Up in the Blue Seats podcast about how long can it take a player to get adjusted, especially to a new team, and you have a new manager, which everyone else is going through with a new head coach and Peter Laviolette. So it's working for now. Now, that's not to say that the Rangers aren't necessarily looking to improve and find someone else if things were to go sour, down the road. But I think for the time being, at least, Blake Wheeler had his best game, a few games ago, despite the loss. It's working for the Rangers right now, and I wouldn't expect Lobs to be making any sort of changes just yet until then.
Well, you talked about him saying that he's a little bit more comfortable. He also said that lately it's been more second nature, so more chemistry as these guys get more time on ice together. That's been a positive. Let's talk about, I guess some can look at this as a negative. The goaltending and the defense has had issues, Harts. They've allowed 4 more goals in 6 of the past 11 games. So would you say at this point the defense is a liability, or you're going to tell me to pump my brakes? This is something that can be cleaned up.
I'm going to tell you to pump them just slightly. I think that defense obviously is something that has been hurting the Rangers. I mean, look, you mentioned it, 4 or more goals in 6 of the last 11 games. Now, they did manage to win 2 of those, so that they stole a couple, but they did go 7-4 during that stretch. The big problem, though, has been Igor Shesterkin, and since he's returned from his, pseudo injury, whatever he had, where he missed a few starts a few weeks back, he really hasn't looked like the Vezina winner himself, which, that's what the Rangers have kind of grown accustomed to, where very much like with Henrik Lundqvist, Igor Shesterkin has kind of mastered the art of stealing games when the Rangers haven't been playing particularly well in front of him. Another thing to consider in terms of the defense is Adam Fox was out for a while. He was on the LTIR. And granted, he has been back now for 8 or 9 games or so. There's going to be some rust that he has to shake off and eventually, get back to the reason why he's the most important player the Rangers have on defense. The last thing I do want to consider is that during that whole stretch, the Rangers are playing a lot of games in a row, a few back-to-backs, 2 nights out of 3 days, because they had that little mini bye week. So I think it's fair to say that the Rangers were a little tired, but what we saw this past weekend, where they went 2-0, allowed only 2 goals over the past 2 games, I think that that's something that the Rangers can be expecting a little bit more. I mean, you got to remember, this team is 13-0-0 in holding teams to 2 goals or fewer. I think that's the mindset that the Rangers are going to be trying to work towards, and at least to kind of help them get back to the play that they were at earlier on in the season. So the defense, it will step up. Give it time. Got to remember, new head coach, they're working through things here.
All right, you talked about that mindset that they got to have. It's a get-back game tonight. Toronto went into the Garden last week, 7-3, kind of ran them out of their skates, ran them out of the Garden. How did the Rangers come out of tonight's game with a W?
I mean, it's pretty simple, Brandon. They got to score, and they got to hold them to a lot less goals than they did last time.
Break it down for me even more than that, Harts. You talking to me. That's layman's terms, like hockey for dummies. But tell the people out there.
We're going to keep it simple. We're trying to keep things simple for everyone here. Look, the Rangers are 11-4-1 on the road this year. They have a 719 road percentage, road point percentage, which ranks second in the NHL. So they're first of all, they're very good on the road. That's the numbers right there. They're going to be facing the same goalie that they faced last time, Martin Jones, who held them to 3 goals last week. So, and that's been his best game this year. Granted, he's only started 2, but he did hold the Penguins to no goals last time out, 38 save shutout. So, it's one of those things where when you face a journeyman goalie, if you will, that you're going to have to put up with a little bit of their crap. The other team always usually seems to step up and want to play for those guys. Another topic we talked about on the podcast. But I'm looking at Vincent Trocheck to stay hot. Troche had 2 goals, including the game winner against Boston. He's been their saving grace this entire season, in my mind. Someone who I believe has just been he's kind of grown in Ranger fans' hearts as the season's gone on. I'm not sure a lot of people were looking at him early on to be like the guy. But Troche has been just a solid piece, as well as look for Artemi Panarin to, play to his Hart caliber trophy status that he's been playing to the entire season. Man's been a point god all year. He's scoring, he's high kicking. It's the shaved head that's really gotten him there. And one last thing for Ranger fans, if they do go down, don't you worry, because they have 11 comeback wins this season, including 6 when trailing in the third period. And for those who don't know, that's hard to do, to come back and win those games, which they lead the league in both categories. So even if they do go down early, it's going to be fine. I have faith the Rangers bounce back and get the W tonight.
All right, if you like the way this man just broke that down here, you got to check out the podcast. Quick, Harts, plug the podcast real quick before we get up out of here.
Up in the Blue Seats podcast, we got Larry Brooks, we have Molly Walker, and former Ranger great Brian Boyle. You don't want to miss these episodes. They're fantastic. Check them out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We like to do that hockey.
All right, appreciate you hopping on with us, Harts.
Appreciate you, BL.